Let's take a look at the two ways of recording observations in ClassMon. Now the first way is when you make an individual observation of an individual child. And to do that, you just need to select the child by clicking on their profile. It expands the coloured buttons, which are the learning outcomes. Just select the outcome that you want to observe. So in this case, we'll select community. And now it opens up the observation tabs. And you can select the element that you want to relate this observation to. So in this case, we'll choose aware of fairness, and we'll write our comment in for our observation. Now when you make your observations, remember that you've got access to the guide text. So by clicking the guide button, you have access to all the guide text related to that learning element that you are observing. So once you've written a comment, you just hit the Save Next button. That will then take you to the next tab to continue on through your observation. You'll also notice that it's recorded the observation over here as a button. So as you add observations, those observations will appear down the side underneath the relevant learning outcome. So you can come back to this observation or to any of your observations at any time by clicking on them and adding or editing any of the information. So continuing on this observation, you don't have to fill in all this information. You fill in as much or as little as you like. But in this case, we're going to move across these tabs and add some text and photos. So in related outcomes, we've already selected community when we clicked on the blue button. So let's also relate this to well-being and learning. And we'll hit Save Next. And that brings us to the Work Samples tab. Now this allows us to click the Browse button and add any sort of work samples that we want to relate to this observation. Now these photos are what appear with the learning story when you print your learning story pages. So click the Browse button and browse to where you have stored your photos. Find the first photo that you'd like to add. So I'll add a Sports Day one. Now this is a single observation and it's related to the child, which is Adam. So I'll just add a photo of Adam on Sports Day. There it is there. And you can click the caption button and add a caption to the photo and click Done. If you'd like to see what that photo looks like, you can click the preview button, the caption. Close the preview and we can add a second photo. So click the Browse button, find your photo, add a caption, and when you feel that you've added enough work samples, hit the Save Next button. This takes us to the Learning Story tab, and here you can enter your learning story related to this observation. So the first comment box is just for your anecdotal comment. The learning story is for the more expanded learning story. Okay, so I've just pasted some text in here, then use the formatting buttons to format your text. Once you're happy with that, just hit the Save Next button. We can ignore this Private Notes tab as these are just private notes that you can keep against the observation. If you were going to keep private notes about a child, it would be a lot more useful to keep it at this upper level up here in the Notes tab, which is different to this observation private notes. If you're keeping private notes for yourself about the child, then keep it in this tab. Let's now take a look at the multiple observation. This allows you to make a single observation of a group of children. So let's click on Adam's profile. Now I'm going to start off just by deleting the observation we just made, which was the aware of fairness one, just so I can use the same text for this next example. So I'll delete that observation and it's gone. Okay, so you can see it's disappeared from our observation list under Adam. Alright, so we're going to apply that same observation about Sports Day, but we're going to do it to all the children in the class. So to select all the children, we click the Select All down the bottom. Then we click the Multiple Observation button, which is down the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Now this brings up a window where we can put the information in for our observation. So let's choose Community, Aware of Fairness, and Browse to add our photos. So it's exactly the same as doing a single observation, but obviously we're applying this to multiple children. So just be aware, whatever you do in a multiple observation is being fed to all the children's portfolios and reports. So you're making an observation that is generic to them all. So you would not be writing personal stuff about a particular child, but generic stuff about all the children. So we'll put a group photo in here and add a caption. And now we're going to write a comment. In a multiple observation, you can actually use a thing called a variable. And the variable is name in uppercase. Wherever you write name in uppercase and apply this observation, it will automatically put that child's name into the sentences you use. So it personalizes the comments that you write. So in our short comment, we can just write name. You'll notice as you type into the female field, it duplicates the information for the male field. So that's to save you having to type this information twice. Now the one thing you do need to change is any gender words that you've used. So for example, the she, we change to he because that's for the boys in the group. You can also write a completely different comment for the males than for the females. So that's your anecdotal comment. And again, you've got access to the guide information if you need it. We click on related outcomes and we can choose any related outcomes. And then we click on learning story and type in our learning story. So I've just pasted that same learning story into this box and it's duplicated to the other box. The one thing I have changed is that instead of using a child's name, which was Adam before, I've put uppercase name. Okay, so we check what we've done. We make sure that we've applied it to the correct learning outcome, learning element, that the date is correct, we've added the right photo, comment, related outcomes, and learning story. Once we're happy with that, we hit the apply button. It just makes sure, ClassMon makes sure that we're happy with what we've written, and we say yes. And observation has now been applied to all the children. So we OK that. If we go now and look at Adam's profile and community and aware of fairness, there is an observation there again. And there it is. It's automatically inserted Adam's name and it's automatically put the group photo in. So I can preview that. And there it is there. If we look at another child, we'll choose a girl, Elizabeth, and community. And we can see down the bottom here is aware of fairness with today's date. And there it is again. There's the observation we've made and work sample and learning story. So all this information is now recorded against each of the children. You can also go in to any of those observations. So you've made this as a group observation or a multiple observation, but you can go and edit that. Or you might have a photo that you've taken just of Adam. So you can browse and grab that photo, there he is there, and put that in as well. So you've used the multiple observation as your basis, but you can fine-tune each child's by adding more information. Now I'm just going to show you how to generate your reports and learning stories from these observations. So we use Adam again as the example. So whichever child we got selected here, we can go reports, learning, progress report, and that pulls up the report of all the observations we've made for that child with all the comments we've written down the side there. We close the preview. Reports, learning, and learning story automatically generates a report based on the learning stories we've added. And I just passed the one we added. So down here, there's the Kinder Olympics learning story with the photos and the captions underneath. And this is for Adam, so it has the extra photo of Adam there. So that's how you generate your learning stories and progress reports. And these learning stories and photos and captions will also automatically appear in your digital portfolio. And remember that any reports can be printed to paper or to a PDF file. By accessing the print button in the top left hand corner, you can print the page or generate a PDF. And basically the pages look just like this with your learning story, photos and captions. And you can see in this example there are 15 pages of learning story, which would include that learning story back there. Now, one other thing to note, if you've made a learning story, so for example, this one we've just made, the aware of fairness observation, we have our learning story here. You can actually just print this single page by clicking the print page button, and now we just have the single page rather than the 15 learning stories. And again, you can print that to paper or to a PDF file.